Well, hi everyone. This is Don Smith. I'm really excited. If you have checked your new or your Creative Cloud, you're going to see there are some new updates to Photoshop, Lightroom, and most importantly, Camera Raw version 17.3. And inside Camera Raw is what is making me excited. I got excited when the first masks came out in Lightroom. I believe that was about 4 years ago, somewhere in that range. And uh, I didn't use them. I really didn't take to them all that much simply because they were a little clunky. And I was all into doing the Tony Kuiper stuff. Still am. TK9. If you want to go there, and I highly encourage you, use my code DS15 for 15% off anything in the TK store. And also check out my processing videos on my website, right on the homepage. Click on the link that says my processing course. But now I will be adding a new version or a new video into that course. That won't be this one, it'll be more in depth. But I want to whet your appetite today with this video as to why I'm so excited about this new masking feature inside Camera Raw. And it is in Photoshop, and it is in Lightroom, and it is in, I'm not sure if it's in Lightroom Cloud because I don't use it, but it is in Classic. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump on over to the computer, and I'm going to show you what you've never seen before.
Okay, so I've got up in Lightroom. I've got my Lightroom open, and I'm in the Develop module. And you're going to see we're going to take a look quickly at 4 pictures today. What I did, these are actually finished either JPEGs or TIFFs. And the reason some of them are JPEG is because I went back as far as 2010. In fact, all these pictures you're going to see were shot in either 2010 or 2011 with my first really semi-decent digital camera, which was the Canon D30. And then I think one in here is actually with the Canon 1DS. So these were early day digital pictures. I was early day processing, how to, really very little idea of what I was doing or how to control anything in Lightroom or Photoshop. So these are going to be kind of crudely processed. And I figured, I could go back to the raw file and start over. But I'm just going to show you what you can do without having to throw the baby out with the bathwater on your early images whenever you got started in digital. And let's see what we can do. So the first thing you're going to want to do is come over here to the little masking icon. You can see nothing has changed up here. And when you click, here is this really cool new feature called Landscape. And when I click on that, you're going to see Detecting Landscape Features. What this is one of my favorite tools in Photoshop. And the reason I always would go over there and work in the Tony Kuiper panels, because I love, after I get the overall image kind of processed like this one, I love to go over and in conjunction with the object selection tool, actually make selections within my image and then do what I want to do. So instead of talking about it, let's go ahead and show you. So there are actually 7 pre-programmed algorithms that will look for water, architecture, mountains, sky, people, vegetation, and natural growth. 7 of them. And you can see, here's 4 of them. It's found natural ground, which is the sand and those rocks. So now you put a click on there because I definitely want it. Water, obviously, it's going to find the ocean. So I want to click on water. Now this is interesting because they've got one called mountains. And what the mountains are, and I'm going to select this, is it's seeing these rocks. And these are really dark rocks along the Big Sur coast here. So I'm going to click on that, and then obviously the sky, and I'm going to click on that. Then you come down and you hit Create Mask. So here now, through the magic of AI and auto detection, your masks are created in a single click, which that in itself is just a huge time saver for me. So where do we start on all of this? It really doesn't matter. I usually tell people start with your biggest area, which for me would be the sky, but I usually like, in saying that, I usually kind of like getting my foreground selected. Now, you can see it's not a perfect selection. It's picked up some of this water along with the rocks here and the sand, so I don't want it on the water. So I'm going to click this minus, and I have to come back in here to select landscape, and I'm going to take the water and I'm going to hit create mask. And what it's done now, this is actually a rock out there, so it did find it, and these two are rocks. So now it's just on the rocks and the sand. So now I can do anything that I want to do over here. I can take the exposure up a little, and I think what I want to do here more than anything is warm up that reflection in the sand and see if I can just maybe open the shadows. These are old files, so there is, and this is a JPEG to boot, so there isn't a lot of room. Like I said, I could go back to the raw file if I wanted to and really do this even better. And I can see, you know what? I had a little bit of a crooked horizon. It's really not crooked. It's diminishing perspective, but it makes it look crooked. And, you know, all the know-it-alls out there on social media are going to say, hey, you got a crooked horizon. We can fix that up. You know how to do that. Let's go on and work with the water now. And I think the water, let me see if there's anything I want to do at the exposure. Maybe just brighten it up a smidgen, not much. But I want to get some of that nice reflection from this cloud and get it back into the water. So I'm going to warm that up a little, but I think I'm going to bring in a little, shift the hue to get a little more red in there. I don't want to turn it purple. And then I could even come down here and fine tune the hue, which I might do just a little bit. Let's undo the fine adjustment, and no, that's too much. Yeah, that's why the fine adjustment's in there for people like me who tend to go overboard on everything. And I think I'll leave the saturation alone. Let me back that off a little. That just looks a little gnarly. So let's go before, after. See how easy this is all doing? So this one has selected the rocks. I don't think I'm going to use that because we've already gotten about everything we can get out of those rocks with this being a JPEG file. So maybe just a smidgen right there. And now the big one is the sky. But as you notice, it's going to drop into the clouds, but that's okay. You're going to say, but hey, you know, what is it that I want to do? Well, what I really want to do is lighten up that cloud, I think, and maybe bring out some blue in that sky. So I can't do that. Let me get that reset here. Because it's the sky that's dark up in here, or this big cloud, excuse me, that's dark up in here that's bugging me. But you see, you can have add or subtract. So what I'm going to do is on this one, I'm going to subtract out that sky. And the way I'm going to do it is through the color range, and I'm going to click, and that pretty much got it. Let me make sure. The way I can do that, let me come back down to color temperature, and yeah, I think now I can just take that blue down. So now when I go to just work on the sky itself, I'm going to take the shadows and I'm going to pull them up a little bit. And I'm also going to warm up that cloud just a smidgen. I can remember this. I was with a buddy of mine, Mike Hall. This is Garrapata Beach along the Big Sur coast. And I was teaching a private lesson with a client of mine. And we were trying to get her down to get this in line with some of these rocks. And she was off to her left. Her image worked good, but you know, I'm always looking for foregrounds, preaching foregrounds. And so let's take this off. Here's where we began. Here's where we finished. Okay, it's not a lot, but it's a start. Okay, let's go back and see another one here. Here's one I shot back, I think this one was in 2011, Yellowstone. This may have been one of the first images I captured with my Canon 1DS, which was an awesome camera back in the day. Okay, so let's go on over. We'll speed this up a little. Let's click landscape. You can see all your other selections are still there. Nothing's changed. This time it's found natural ground, which is most of the foreground here. So we'll select that. The water, which is just little pockets of the water, but it's not catching at all. So I don't think I'm going to go there. Vegetation, there's really nothing I want to do there. And then the sky, definitely. And so I've only chosen 2 of the 4. One thing, and I'd like to say that, hey, Adobe, you've got space right here. Say I wanted to do all 4 of these at one time, or however many come up for whatever picture. Why don't you just put a select all right there? And let's create mask. Just my little saying, hey, Adobe. Okay, let's see what we want to do here in the foreground. Maybe brighten it up a little. And then I want to get that steam kind of matching what my eyes saw better. But remember, back in 2011, I didn't really have a way to do this. And now I can just warm that up. And let's just not go too far there and maybe change the hue a little more towards purple. Okay, and you can, I'm kind of going with this quick, but you're getting where we're going here. So now we went from there to there. And let's just go up in the sky and see what we want to do here. I think this is just too blue up in here. And you can see also there's blue in the clouds that I don't really want. But again, back in the day, I didn't have a way to get that out of there. So what I think I will do here is I want to do a mask intersection. And the way I do that is I'm going to right click on the sky mask itself. And I'm going to come down to intersect. And again, I'm going to go to color range. And now I'm going to select that blue. And it's going to select the blue in the sky for me. And what I can do now is come back to the color temp and just take out that blue. I don't think I can dial it out all the way, but maybe right in there. It certainly looks a lot more neutral now than it did. And now I don't want to do anything with the temp or the tint rather. So we'll just leave that alone. So let's go back. Kind of dark. The steam not really catching the warmth of that sunlight. And now we've got it. And especially what's cool is look at how much these came up. And this is really natural. This is something you would see. As closer that the eye gets to the light source, the more contrast there is. And the further away, which would be this, would be less contrast. So that's why I could go in and just select this steam probably. Just maybe, I could do it with a color picker, or I could do it with a luminance mask and just mask this off from the rest. But I think the more the warmth should be back there because that's closer to the sun. So just a little, think about when you're processing your images. So let's go to the next one here. This is a bristlecone pine tree, 4,000 years old. These are all living specimens, and this one probably is dead. It's right along a really cool trail that you can access. This is up in the White Mountains above Bishop, California. And, I thought, well, let's see what it can do to a sky shot. This is in a Milky Way. I went through a period when I first started where I didn't really care about Milky Way. I just wanted to shoot night sky. And I'm still kind of that way. The Milky Way has been shot to death. So we clicked on the mask icon. Let's click on landscape. Should just detect the tree. Well, it actually has detected 3. So let's just hover over natural ground. But it's selecting some of the tree and not catching all of that. But it is, looking back here where it's a little darker. So what the heck? Let's put that on. Mountains. Oh, let me hit that. Mountains now is still not selecting all of the tree, but it's getting a lot of it. So let's put that on, and then obvious sky. Great selection. So I'll choose all three. You know, you may not in the long run need what it's suggesting, but that's why I'd like them to have just a select all button right there. And that way you would have a choice, and then you can go back over and play with this. So what are we going to do with this first one? Well, let's see if we can just lighten that up a bit. And maybe just lighten up the shadows a little bit. Yeah. And maybe warm that foreground up a little bit. I always like if I can play off of warm and cool tones. Causes great visual tension because of the color contrast in the scene. Okay, let's come up now. This is going to get even more of the foreground. So let's just this time go into shadow. And what I'm going to do now is it's brought up this, which is getting a little too bright to my eye. But remember, we can subtract, add, intersect. I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to take a brush. And when I move it in, you can see that it is the subtraction brush. So I just want to kind of brush that down to help keep the viewer's eye in the scene. And now let's take a look at before and after. And now the last thing to do is go to work on that sky. Back in the day, I used to color process all my skies blue because psychologically, I used to watch old movies. I still love watching old movies. And they would always shoot their night scenes in day. And what they would do is underexpose by 2 stops and put a blue color filter over to make it look like night. Because back in the day, way back in early Hollywood, 40s, 50s, 60s, film just wasn't that sensitive to shoot at night. You just couldn't do it. So let's take a little of the blue out of that sky. I don't want to take a lot. I don't want to warm it up. That's the other, but I don't want to make it too blue. I just want to remove a little bit of blue. And then maybe I'm going to come down here to clarity. And I'm going to bring up the clarity. And let's go before and after. And now I think that looks a little more natural. By the way, did the tree look like that to my eye? No, it didn't. I did light paint with a headlamp. And so I forgot to say that in the opening. All right, let's go to one more here. Now this is going to be kind of the penultimate. And this one's got a lot of stuff going on. So let's see. First of all, I want to fix this exposure a little bit. Now, maybe I'll leave it alone. I am clipping my blacks there, and I would like to just move up the darks so I'm not clipping my blacks. And let me see if I can move. Where's the whites blowing? Right there. I'm holding the Alt or Option key, you guys, to do this. I'll leave a little black right down in there. And other than that, I think the color temperature is good. Everything else is good. So let's go up to our mask and let's go into landscape. It's detecting now. Let's see how much stuff it pulls up. Oh, okay. Water. Yes, I want that. You can see it's not perfect over in here, but good enough. Vegetation. Well, look at that. It's selecting the vegetation in the foreground, but remember, we could subtract out that back, so let's click that. Architecture, pretty cool. It's picking up the buildings on the wharf itself. Mountains, yeah, let's click that because then I can subtract mountains out of that foliage, right? And then the sky, it's taken the whole thing, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix the sky. So I'm going to take all these masks, create masks. I'm so impressed on how quick it's just like bang. If you had to go in and create every one of these masks, because I do in Tony's TK9, it's more time consuming, but I will tell you it would do a better job at fixing all of this. Now I could add back in some of this. In fact, let's try it by going to, let me see, landscape. I'm doing this on the fly. And I want to select the water. And I want to add, I guess I could have done this right out of the original mask. I want to add the color range. And I want to click just in here. And that's gotten it better. Let's try. I'm going to hold down the shift key. I guess I don't even have to. There we go. That's really tightened it up. And let's go right here. And now I'm going to back out of there because that selected the foliage and I want it. So I Command Z out of there. All right, what do I want to do with the water? I always check exposure first. I think the exposure's fine. I could darken it. No, I don't want to darken it. But I definitely want to make it a little more blue. Just a little bit, just a little bit. And that's a rising moon. This is over, this little wharf you're seeing here is in a town called Capitola, California. This wharf was actually out of commission for a while. A couple of years ago, we had some amazing winters with big surf, and it damaged a whole section of that wharf. The reason this has sentimentality to me is because when I was a young boy, my dad and I used to come over and fish off this wharf a lot during the summer. This was about maybe a 35-minute drive from where we used to live, and he loved fishing. Okay, enough of going down memory lane. So let's come up now and let's check the foliage. But see, the foliage is going to select that mountain, so we have to subtract that mountain, right? So let's go to minus, select landscape. There's that mountain, and we're going to click it because we're subtracting it. And now you can see it didn't get all of it. So let's hit subtract again. Hit the brush key, and let's take out these little halos or selections it wanted to make. Got to be careful going over that, and that, and that. And then I can just brush out the rest of that. Okay, and now I just have the foliage isolated. So what do I want to do? Bring up the exposure a little. I want to maybe warm it up. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? How easy this is. Let's see if we brought up the shadows a little bit. Right. I don't want to too much. I think that looks pretty cool. Let's turn that off, turn it on. Yeah. I might take down the exposure. I think I'm giving too, it looks like it's maybe artificially flashed, and I don't want to give that appearance. There we go. And we got it. So let me get out of the before mode. And the way I'm doing that, I'm just hitting the backslash key, and that's giving me the before or after. You can also come up here. There's a little eyeball right there at the top. You can turn this on and off there. Let's go up and do the sky. Now, before we do it, I want to show you my thoughts on it. Always have a thought of what you want to do before you go in and use the mask. I want to see if I can richen up this twilight wedge a little, and maybe even drop in here. I don't know if I really want to bring up the blues. This is very cool. For those of you that are new to all this landscape stuff, the sun is set and the moon is rising. There's only one time a month you can do this to get everything to match out, because this moon is a daylight exposure, and you can only do it, and typically it's usually the night prior to the actual full moon. So this moon's like 99.6 something probably, close enough to full that nobody's going to doubt that it's full. But usually the next night it's going to be rising, because it usually will rise in a range of 40 minutes to 55 minutes, depending on the time of year, different. Whereas the sun is usually maybe a minute, not at all on either side of the day. And people tend to forget about that with the moons. So that's part A, what I want to do. And I really think we could do this a couple of ways. We could come back here and I'm going to click on the main sky mask, and I'm going to intersect this with a linear gradient. And then I'm going to pull down the linear gradient right about to where the transition is. And I want to make a nice feather, and you can raise this up and down so where it feathers into the blue of the Earth's shadow. And I'm just going to warm that up. If I hover over here, you probably saw it before I did it. You can turn these masks coloring on and off. So you know, that I chose that reddish color, but you could choose whatever color you want for a mask. And then I'm just going to bump that up a little bit and maybe come down here. I don't know if I want to go a little more dehaze. I don't know so much if that's doing it. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I tend to go overboard on this stuff and I leave it alone. So I'm gonna add one more mask and I'm just gonna do select sky again. And this time, what do I want to do? I want to bring up that blue. So I want to add color range. And I'm going to select in here where I know it's blue. And now you see it's left the top alone. Again, because I have my color overlay on it. But the minute I hit a slider, that's all going to go away. So let's get back up here to the blue in the temperature slider. And I'm just going to bring that down just a hair. And here's before and here's after. And before and after. And again, this was all done on a JPEG. And you can see I posted this JPEG for those of you that are seeing this on my blog, right to my blog. And so that's how easy it is. You just have to get in there. I think the key again is to, number one, look where the mask is. You can add or subtract to build the mask, to refine it. That's really cool. But you got to know going in, what is it with that mask that I want to do? And that's the question I ask myself. If the answer is no, let's say the sky looked like that on the original processing of it, and this was shot in 2011, I would have said, you know, I'm not going to mess with that sky because it does look great. Do I want to brighten that moon? Maybe as I look, you know, I'm always sort of thinking of things. What if I go to brush? And no, I don't want to go to brush. You know what? Let's create another mask. I want to go to select objects. There we go. And let's just hover over this moon. And now it's selected the moon. And maybe just bring it up a smidgen. Okay. So before, after. And I know there's a way to do this, guys. I'm just blanking where you can turn this actual. Oh, I have to expand this. This is why. And there's the little eyeball. Okay. Before, after. And you know what? Now that I see that, maybe just add in a smidgen of contrast. Yeah. And then maybe I can take the moon down a little. You can just play with it. I could hit the highlights. That would be another way to. Now it's looking like there's some definition in that moon if you follow what I'm doing here. Okay. And then if I want to close this up, just hit that again and you can close it up. So you can see I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one I don't think we used at all because that was the one I didn't want to use. And then this one this one we did use. And then this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm going to take that one out of the equation. 6 masks. There's times in Photoshop when I'm doing this with Tony Kuiper, I could have pictures. I've gone up in the 30s with masks but that's again, once you learn this, then you got your head wrapped around these masks and you could graduate up into Tony's masks and have the umph, what I call the umph. UMPH, is that how you spell umph? That's the umph control of masking. But I can sure tell you, on basic images and stuff that's old that I don't want to get the raw file out and start from scratch, I will definitely just come in and use these masks and work it out. I'm only on day 3 of playing with these, so I'm going to learn along with you guys. Please leave your comments down below. And I'm hoping to, my goal from here on out is to start posting a video once every couple of weeks. I'm going to take you out on location with me. We're bought some new equipment that's going to allow me to film and record and do things a lot easier. It's been a couple months in the works here, along with some other cool announcements that we're going to be making coming up.
So once again, I hope this has helped you. get over to your Creative Cloud, download everything that's there, but especially look for the Camera Raw version 17.3 and start playing. I think you're going to really love this. So till next time, and this is Don Smith. And remember, we're going to be having some really cool videos coming up, so please subscribe to the channel. But get out there, stay creative, gang. It's great for the soul. We'll see you next time.